Alright, we're officially 7 movies in, and this may actually be one of the best entries in such a long-running franchise. So if you live under a rock or aren't a casual horror fan, VHS is one of the most infamous and long-running found footage series in the horror genre. There have been some flops here and there. I was not a fan of 85 at all, but here we are technically less than 1 year later. Beyond just dropped on Shudder, and in my eyes, the franchise has redeemed itself threefold. Since the disaster of Viral, Shudder took the franchise under its wing, and while I haven't been a fan of all the segments and entries in them, VHS Beyond exceeded my expectations. I want to mention that this will be spoiler-free. My spoiler talk and thoughts will go into the VHS ranking video I have planned for later this month. I'll be ranking each film in respective segments, so keep your eye out for that. But today I just want to give my spoiler-free review and thoughts because I think you should go into this movie as blind as possible. This one is a trip, y'all. So to kick things off, we have the usual wraparound, this time directed by J.H. Heel. It's called Abduction. This one gets a 3.5 out of 5 for me. I didn't hate it this time, the wraparound. The one in 85 wasn't really my thing. This one had the documentary feel without it being too over the top and produced like the one in Viral with that magician. This one here had some nice UFO and extraterrestrial lore to go behind it. I don't know who the YouTube people were. That part and the talking heads could have been reduced just a little bit. If they would have cut that part in half and gave us more of the proof video regarding the son from the family who lived in that house, it could have been more effective. The actual meat of what the wraparound is talking about is a bit lackluster and feels kind of rushed by the end. Not great, but also not bad. The climax and execution it's going for are done well enough and were definitely a choice, but it did a fine enough job wrapping up the film. But now getting into the segments of the movie, the first one we have here is Stork, directed by Jordan Downey. This one gets a 4.5 out of 5 for me. I was thrown for a little bit of a loop with this one. The short stands out almost like a video game, first-person point of view, with this guy going with these wardens in New York to this house to investigate these child abductions. They get there and it seems like there's more than meets the eye. Almost like a Resident Evil level, it's filled with not kidnappers, but these monster humanoid things. Super action-packed, lots of great practical gore. The title is perfect for this short, by the way. Once you get to the end and the big bad of the short is revealed, it's all just kind of perfect. I didn't expect to like this one as much as I did and almost wrote it off, but I'm so glad that I stuck with it because this one is definitely one of the more fun and fast-paced shorts with really great practical effects and creepy, disturbing imagery. The twist of the situation was a nice touch too. All around a really solid start to the film. Gorehounds, this one's for you. Alright, moving on to our next segment, we have Dream Girl, directed by V-Pal. This one gets a 3 out of 5 for me, and this is where I felt things started to get a little bit weird. You've got these two paparazzi guys in India trying to get the scoop on all these celebrities. They eventually zero in on one that's way more than they bargained for. Almost like a Terminator movie in a way. I don't want to give too much away, and that may already be a spoiler. Anyways though, this one really cranked the sci-fi theme up to 11, and just like the last short, got right into the action. This one wasn't the best though. While I did think the premise was alright, and the reveal was done in a really creepy and effective way, it's a bit bare bones in the end. The gore was practical, again, and done very well. The short does stray a bit from the found footage aspect for a second, which, I mean, all of these kind of do. None of these shorts in this one make sense as found footage, but suspend that disbelief at this point. But anyways, with the music video scenes and such, it kind of took me out of the found footage aspect of it for a little bit, but it was shot well, and the song is still stuck in my head, so I didn't mind it. I thought straying away from the found footage aspect was honestly fit the best for this segment. The ending though to this one is also a bit abrupt, almost in a darkly comedic way. Highly ambiguous too. It's not my favorite short, and it's probably my least favorite. It was still a lot of fun though, and had great gore, although a bit too disturbing at some spots for me. It was still a very well done segment that nailed the blend of horror and sci-fi genres alike. Okay, up next, we have Live and Let Die, directed by Justin Martinez. This one is my favorite, hands down. It gets a 5 out of 5 for me. This is everything that I was expecting from a VHS movie that has to do with aliens. I didn't see the trailer for this movie. I was able to escape all the promo except for this one weird picture of an alien in broad daylight, which of course ended up being for this short. Look, I love daylight horror, and this one captured it phenomenally. The aliens in broad daylight, their stature and size and all that, like, they were super imposing. Although the CGI may have been a little bit wonky, the aliens and their designs worked really well overall. Very scary aliens in this segment. So the premise is a group of friends going skydiving collide with a UFO and end up crash landing in an orchard. The drop scene was intense and built up so perfectly. The orchard setting in broad daylight was such a great stark contrast to the horror story that we're seeing. On top of the disturbing alien invasion these skydivers have fallen into, the accident itself and the aftermath had some great moments to shine, and it was really effective. One thing I do want to mention, for some reason, this is the second segment in a row with like face peeling. I mean, it's nasty, but maybe seemed a little derivative of some of the fates from Dreamgirl. This one, however, executed it leagues better. All in all, my favorite segment out of the entire movie, and I'd go as far to say that if VHS isn't even your thing, this segment alone is worth watching if you're an Alien fan. Check it out, you won't be disappointed or bored. Okay, up next we have Fur Babies, directed by Justin and Christian Long. This one gets a 4 out of 5 for me. I was already on a high after that last short, so I was ready to see where this one was gonna take us. It starts off with an infomercial-like home dog care commercial that ends in some gnarly taxidermy dogs. Kinda cheesy, but mostly gnarly. Anyways, it inspires an animal rights group to take action, but they end up biting off way more than they can chew, literally. What started as sort of a cringy Annie Wilkes-esque dog lover caricature quickly descends into the zaniest short of the bunch. It is so silly at times, but the actress plays the Annie Wilkes caricature perfectly and really sells the horror of the situation as it unfolds. I kept thinking it couldn't get any weirder or fucked up, and it just gets better and more twisted and outrageous by the time it ends. It's an absolute trip and genuinely dreadful and creepy. Sci-fi elements are still there, just maybe not in the way you'd expect. And like I said, this one's directed by Justin Long, so if you keep your eye out, you may just be able to see some Easter eggs from some of his previous films. Anyways, 4 out of 5. I love the huge shift in tone in this one compared to the other shorts. Alright, so we've reached the end of our list here. This final short was a real treat. Directed by Kate Siegel and written by husband Mike Flanagan, we have Stowaway. This one starts a little slow, but it does a great job at pulling you in, and you can't help but be interested in the plight of this UFO hunting amateur documentarian whose fast and unprepared speech will remind you of your worst elementary school presentation, or me before the editing process is done. Anyways, the short obviously is taking place in and around the area of the Phoenix Lights back in the 90s. Loved the eerie, desolated desert setting. The shadows and lighting used for the location when it got dark was perfectly eerie and made it even better when the lights once again came into view, but with a twist. Don't want to give too much away, but what she finds evolves into more than just a typical alien story. It's an interesting and almost mesmerizing masterclass in lo-fi special effects with a final twist that is equally disturbing and intriguing. Pretty tragic in the end, probably the saddest ending out of the segments. I'm using that term loosely. But yeah, this one's trippy and more interesting and complex rather than just outright scary. Don't get me wrong, the concept is terrifying, but this one has much more elements going on that will pull you in and keep your eyes glued to the screen until the very end. 5 out of 5, neck and neck with Live and Let Die, but it's edged out just a bit by the fun of that short. Still one of the best ones in the series though. Very well done. So with all of that in mind now, overall, as a VHS movie, I would say that this is honestly my favorite VHS since at least the second one, if not my favorite of the sequels altogether. Production is fantastic, the stories are scary along with blending the sci-fi alien elements perfectly with it, and there are consistent themes tying the stories together so it feels more consistent than just a bunch of shorts, such as 85. But that's just my opinion. I know there's quite a few of you guys that loved 85. Maybe I'll revisit it one day, just not today or anytime soon. In the meantime, let me know down in the comments below, what did you think of VHS Beyond? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Let's discuss down below. Alright, but that about wraps things up here. As always, thank you guys for the support. I love you all, and I'll see you in the next one.